The underlying issues are much deeper, they are psychological, and nobody talks about that. And it's okay to miss your grandma's chicken soup. Your environment is actually designed against you. If you've ever tried plant-based, you know the feeling. You start off strong, you're so motivated, you're excited, you saw a documentary or you read something that inspired you. Then you go grocery shopping and fill your fridge with all the right stuff. And it's going really well, but the latest week too, something changes. Suddenly it feels so complicated. You're exhausted, you're totally overwhelmed, and most of all, you feel like a failure. And the funny thing is, it's not the recipes, it's not the cooking, it's something deeper that you can't quite identify. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people trying to go plant-based, and for some of them it just stuck, and a lot of others gave up after a couple of weeks. It's just too hard. And then I started to wonder, what are the patterns? What are the people that get it done do different? And then it hit me. What I've discovered changed how I think about this completely. Come with me and I will show you the 5 reasons why plant-based eating feels so challenging. And spoiler alert, none of them are related to what's happening in your kitchen. The first reason why plant-based eating feels so hard is that you're going through a form of grief. I know that sounds dramatic, but hear me out. When you remove foods from your menu that you've eaten your whole life, your brain doesn't just process that as a diet change. It processes it as a genuine loss. Think about the foods you grew up with. There's so many memories attached, like Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, birthday cakes, even the simple things like the scrambled eggs your dad used to cook you, or you're hitting the burger spot after work with your colleagues or friends, and suddenly you can't do this anymore. These aren't just calories, they're emotional anchors. They are tied to memories, to people, to moments that shaped who you are. And when you cut them out, your subconscious doesn't register this just like in a healthy diet upgrade. It registers it as a loss. And here's the kicker. Psychologically, a loss hits twice as hard as an equivalent gain. This is called loss aversion, and it's a very well-studied principle in psychology. And it means basically that the pain of losing something is significantly stronger than the pleasure of gaining something new. So you could be eating the most delicious plant-based food and your brain would still be focusing on what you gave up instead of what you gained. So what do we do now? I'm not here just to make you feel bad. I want to offer you solutions, a way to move forward, because I want you to enjoy this journey. I want you to be successful. So the first step is to simply acknowledge what's happening. See it for what it is. It is a form of grief. To stop pretending that this doesn't exist. This transition involves letting go of things you used to love that meant something to you. And it's okay to miss your grandma's chicken soup. That doesn't make you a bad plant-based eater. It just means you're human. And then, next step, intentionally start building new anchors around the new foods that you're consuming now. This is a big chance of finding out what you love in this new way of eating. You might come across things that are actually really yummy that you previously wouldn't have touched. This could be a new Sunday smoothie ritual, or just this one recipe that you start cooking over and over, or it could be the one dish that you start bringing to every potluck you're invited to and everybody's looking forward to. The good thing is, once you recognize the grief for what it is, it loses its power over you. So now that one runs deep, but we're now going to point number 2, and this is about your identity. Switching to a plant-based diet changes something about your identity. And the problem is your brain, again, is fighting back, and it's fighting hard. Think about how deeply food is woven into your sense of self, your culture, your upbringing, your tradition. Food is how you bond with people, how you celebrate, how you comfort yourself. It's even how you express love. Just think about grandma again. And if somebody makes a statement about steak, like, I could never give up steak, it's not a statement about food. It's a statement about their identity. Giving that up would mean giving part of themselves up, giving part of their identity up. So when you go plant-based, you're doing exactly that. You're removing part of your identity. And the problem is, when you're not consciously thinking about that, you're doing this without replacing it with something else. This is what psychologists would call an identity vacuum. And our brain doesn't like that. It hates vacuum. It will fight you with all that it's got to bring you back to your whole self that you used to be before. And this is why people feel that strange emotional resistance that drives you away from plant-based foods. It has nothing to do with cravings. You could be eating this perfect plant-based meal and still have that nagging feeling that something is just off. And this is not your taste buds talking, it's your brain trying to hold on to your old identity. So what do we do now? The fix is not trying to willpower this through, because willpower runs out. Consciously build a new identity on the way you eat. And that starts with language. Have you ever noticed that you might be saying, I'm trying to eat plant-based? This is not working. Your new identity is, I eat plant-based, or I am vegan, not I'm trying to. That tiny shift matters more than you think, because it's an identity statement. The other version, I'm trying to, sounds more like a temporary thing, like an experiment that your brain can quit anytime. Then go deeper, engage with community, surround yourself with people who are eating the same way, create new rituals, and enjoy this new lifestyle. Your brain doesn't need to abandon who you were. It just needs a new place to land, a new identity to step into that feels as real and as whole as the old one did. The people who make this stick long term are never the ones with the best recipes or the most willpower. They are the ones who made eating plant-based a part of who they are and not just what they eat. That's the difference, and no cookbook in the world will teach you that. Okay, so grief and identity are very, very deep layers that almost no one talks about or thinks consciously about. The next one is more on a practical side. It's about autopilot. I'm quite sure you didn't guess that the word autopilot will come up in a video about plant-based eating. But this is exactly what's the problem. That's what happens. Decades of habit have made eating completely automatic. The moment you go plant-based, every single one of these automatic decisions breaks simultaneously, all at once. And now you're in the grocery store reading the labels of every single product you buy and find out what you can actually eat. You're spending 20 minutes scanning the restaurant menu trying to figure out what's vegan friendly. Or you're Googling vegan dinner at 6 p.m. when you're already hungry and you just want to have something in your stomach. You went from maybe 5 or 10 conscious food-related decisions a day to probably 200 overnight. And here's what most people don't know or don't realize. Every decision we make draws from the same mental battery. And if you already made like 100 decisions by lunch, there's not a lot left for the rest of the day. So this is exhausting. And this leads to decision fatigue. And when we're already weakened, we fall back to old patterns. It's just what our brain does. You're not just tired of thinking about food. you're cognitively depleted, you're mentally exhausted, and that exhaustion feels like it's too hard, although the cooking is actually quite simple. So where do we go from here? The fix is, you might have already guessed it, not more recipes. It's actually less, doing less, making less decisions. And this is done by rebuilding your autopilot. So you will have to find a couple of go-to recipes that you can cook without a long list, maybe even without following an actual written recipe, and make this your new standard. Lock in a default breakfast that you have every morning without negotiating with yourself. Have a simple lunch, could also be the same one every day, and then a rotation of these few recipes that you just wrote down. You don't have to do this forever. Just do it for at least 1 month until you find that it's feeling easier, that the mental load is lifted from your, is it the shoulders or the brain? You get what I'm saying. Don't try to be creative in the first month. Try to be automatic. Boring is fine, repetitive is fine. The goal is to get your food back on autopilot so that your brain can breathe again. Rebuilding your autopilot is the most underrated and the least talked about strategy to make this shift to plant-based sustainable. So you've handled grief, we talked about identity, and your autopilot is slowly coming back online. What else is there? The fourth reason why plant-based feels so hard is because your environment is actually designed against you. This explains so much of the frustration you have felt. Animal agriculture is a $1 trillion industry, and that money shapes everything. It shapes what's available on your corner store, what's available on restaurant menus. It shapes what you get advertised to. It even shapes government dietary guidelines. All of it is optimized to push animal products and highly processed foods in your face. This isn't a conspiracy, it's just economics. You're trying to swim upstream a river that was engineered to flow against you. And then you're blaming yourself for not swimming fast enough. I mean, that's insane, right? You cannot out-willpower a broken environment. That's super important. Willpower is a finite resource, and when your environment triggers you 100 times a day, no amount of discipline will save you long term. So instead of fighting it, redesign it. Redesign your environment. And the place where you should start is your own kitchen, because that's the place where you have most control over. Then you only have to resist all these temptations in the little amount of time that you're spending inside the grocery store, and not all the time when you're at home. Find 2 or 3 restaurants where you already know what to order. Curate your social media. Follow plant-based creators that inspire you, that make you feel good about it. Unfollow or mute accounts that constantly trigger cravings or that make you feel conflicted. And most importantly, tell the people you eat with most often about what you're doing. Not to preach to them, but so they stop unknowingly sabotaging you by suggesting the steakhouse every Friday night. Every single friction point you remove from your environment is worth more than a whole month worth of raw motivation. Environment design always beats willpower, always. When you realize that your environment was designed to make this hard, you can finally stop blaming yourself for struggling. It was never a discipline problem. It was a design problem. Now there's one final reason why this feels so hard. It's the most ironic of all, because it comes from the community that's actually supposed to support you. I call this the perfection trap. It's this all or nothing mentality. This, you're either a vegan or you better stop trying. You have to be perfect. 100% compliant all the time. No slip-ups, no exceptions, no gray area. You have a slice of cake at a friend's birthday party, you're a failure. You ate something in a restaurant to later find out that the sauce had butter in there. You're a fraud. You had a moment of weakness at a family dinner and just ate what everybody else was eating. Well, clearly you don't really care. One single moment of imperfection and the whole thing collapses. Not because it actually matters nutritionally. One single meal doesn't change your whole health trajectory. It collapses because psychologically, you've now given yourself permission to quit. Well, I already messed up, so what's the point? I can start again Monday, but Monday never comes. And even if you try again, the same impossible standard will be waiting for you. The perfection trap makes plant-based eating feel like walking on a tightrope over a canyon, where it should feel like a wide open path with lots of cool stuff to discover on the left and the right. And even if you wander off to the side occasionally, you're still moving in the right direction. Every single plant-based meal matters. If you eat plant-based 80% of the time, that's a massive, meaningful, significant shift for your health and for the planet. 80% is not failure, it's not almost vegan. It's a radical transformation from where most people start, but the perfection crowd would have you believe that 80% equals 0%, and that is objectively, nutritionally, mathematically not true. Progress is a spectrum, not a light switch. Give yourself permission for imperfection. And here's the paradox. People who allow themselves more flexibility are more likely to escape the perfection trap and will over time end up eating much more plant-based than those who expect 100% all the time, because they never hit that catastrophic break point where one failure leads them to abandon the whole project. They just keep going imperfectly, consistently, and consistency always wins. And this whole thing will stop feeling like something you have to fight through every day, but start to feel something that you choose every day for yourself. So let's zoom out and put all of this together. Plant-based eating feels hard, but as you can now see, it was never about the cooking. It's because we are grieving foods that are deeply and emotionally tied to our life. It's because your brain was processing an identity shift and it was just fighting back hard. It's because your food autopilot was shattered overnight and decision fatigue is draining you before you even know what's happening. It's because your entire environment is designed against you, and it's because the perfection trap turned a flexible, forgiving lifestyle into something that was set up for failure from the start. None of these are cooking problems, and none of them are solved by another recipe, but they are solvable once you can see them for what they actually are. And now you can. If this reframed some things for you, let me know down below in the comments. Which one hits the hardest for you? I genuinely want to know. And if you know somebody who is struggling, send them this video, because chances are they've been beating themselves up for something that was never their fault. See you in the next one.